Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and the Forge is an area for me to talk about magic, Commander, and anything else while trying to drag this whole mental health thing back to where it's supposed to be. Now, I didn't record last week because I was not feeling well, and the thought of sitting down and trying to talk was too much. But here I am this week, and I just want to start off with saying I was not terribly impressed with the Spider-Man set. It just didn't really tick any of the boxes for me. But I am excited for the Avatar: The Last Airbender set for one reason and one reason only. I'm getting new allies. And I can finally update my allies list that was tragically ignored with our last visit to Zendikar because they couldn't give us any allies. But that said, I just want to go through some of the cards that have been spoiled from Avatar: The Last Airbender so far that I am looking forward to adding to that list. And I don't necessarily have them in any order. I just know the ones I want. And I'm going to jump in with Master Piandao. It is 4 and a white for a 4/4 human warrior ally with first strike, and whenever he attacks, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an ally, equipment, or lesson card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So this is similar to, Munda, but Munda is an enter ability. This just helps you double up on trying to get creatures into your hand. And yeah. Next up, I have Suki, Courageous Rescuer. 1 white for a 2/4 human warrior ally. Other creatures you control get +1/+0. And whenever another permanent you control leaves the battlefield during your turn, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. This ability triggers only once per turn. So the main reason she's here is she is an Anthem effect, and that's kind of the only reason. And then moving out of there, none of the blue ones are necessarily what I want for the deck so far. And actually, most of the other ones I want are in the multicolor section, which means I have to scroll down to find them. Alright, now the first one I want to talk about is Katara, Water Tribe's Hope. It is 2, a white, and 2 blue for a 3/3 human ally warrior. She has Vigilance, and when she enters, make a 1/1 white ally creature token. And then she has Waterbend X. Creatures you control have base power and toughness XX till end of turn. X can't be 0, activate only during your turn. So this is a way to, if I don't have anything better to do, just make my team hit for a ton of damage. And it's one of those things where my ally list tends to peter out after a little bit because, it is like a creature-based attacking deck. Katara can make it work with only a couple of creatures left. And that's just, that's just kind of helpful, right? Next up in here we have Suki, Kyoshi Warrior, which is 2 and then 2 hybrid green and white for a star 4. It is a human warrior ally. Suki's power is equal to the number of creatures you control, and whenever Suki attacks, create a 1/1 white ally creature token that's tapped and attacking. Just kind of does what we want to do, which is repeatedly put creatures into play. Alrighty, and then I know there's at least 2 more I was looking at that I wanted. No, it wasn't the Toph. It wasn't the Aang. I think it was... Here it is. Katara the Fearless. It is Bant, so green, white, blue, for a 3/3 human warrior ally. If a triggered ability of an ally you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So for any other ally we've mentioned in this so far, it would trigger an additional time. And honestly, Katara might be a fun build for herself for like Bant allies, but I have a 5-color ally list. Most of them trigger when allies enter, and it's already running the Panharmonicon effects. Katara is just another version of the Panharmonicon. But yeah, that one, and then I think the other one was Sokka, Tenacious Tactician. It is 1 and Jeskai, so red, blue, and white for a 3/3 human ally warrior with menace and prowess. Other allies you control have menace and prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 ally creature token. So, again, this would be a fun commander in and of itself, but just at its base, giving all of my allies menace means I don't have to try and find another ally that gives all of my things menace. So it just, yeah. That's so far the cards I'm most excited for that are coming out in that set. I haven't taken the time to really dig into everything. But yeah. That said, it is my whole thing with how I feel about Universes Beyond is if you enjoy it, cool, go enjoy it. Like, Spider-Man was not it for me, and that's fine. But, like, Final Fantasy was, and it was way too expensive. I need them to find a consistent way of doing things that's not going to break the bank. That being said, I am excited for this set, and that's really all I have to say about it. So I will take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about, I don't know, something. And we're back. Now, I have been completing a deck that I'm actually just down to, I need to get the lands for it. And that is Choco, Seeker of Paradise. So Choco is 1 and Bant, so green, white, blue, for a 3/5 bird. And whenever one or more birds you control attack, look at that many cards from the top of your library. You can put one of them into your hand, then put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest into your graveyard. And it has landfall. Whenever land enters your battlefield, Choco gets +1/+0 till end of turn. So you'll notice a few things. 1, this is a bird. 2, it likes birds attacking. And 3, chocobos are flightless birds. So this really plays in with a lot of the things from Bloomborough, because the birds there cared about things that didn't have flying. And I'll get into those in a minute. But I want to talk about some of the other flightless birds we have. We have 4 that are chocobos and 1 that is not. So let's just jump into those first. First up, we have Ambrosia Whiteheart, which is 1 and a white for a 2/2 bird with flash. When it enters, you can return another permanent you control to its owner's hand, and it has landfall. Whenever land enters your battlefield, it gets +1/+0 till end of turn. Next up, we have the Traveling Chocobo. 2 and a green for a 3/2 bird. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You can play lands and cast bird spells from the top of your library. If a land or bird you control enters the battlefield, triggering an ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So this works with the landfall triggers on the last guys, with anybody that has like an ETB effect, and it's a very good card. Again, flightless bird. Next up, we have Bart's and Boko, which is 3 green for a 4/3 human bird with affinity for birds. When Bart's and Boko enters, each other bird you control deals damage to equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. So, big removal, and if we have Traveling Chocobo, bigger removal. And then last up in the Chocobo category, we have Saz's Chocobo. It is a single green for a 0/1 bird. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Now, the one other flightless bird in this deck is the Owlbear Cub. 2 and a green for a 3/3 bird bear. And it has the ability called Mama's Coming. Whenever Owlbear Cub attacks a player who controls 8 or more lands, look at the top 8 cards of your library. You can put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking that player. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, yeah. More things that want us to be, attacking. Now, I want to get into some of the things that care about those creatures not having flying. Then I'll get into some more utility creatures. And then, yeah, I think that's probably where I will leave it. So, the selection of creatures we have that care about our other creatures not having flying, we're going to start with Guayahir, Greatest of the Eagles. It is 4 and a white for a 5/5 bird noble with flying. Whenever it attacks, target attacking creature gains flying till end of turn. So, again, cares about things not having flying, giving them flying. And at the beginning of each end step, if you gained 3 or more life this turn, create a 3/3 white bird creature token with flying, and whenever this creature attacks, target attacking creature gains flying till end of turn. Do I have a ton of way to gain life in this deck? Not necessarily, but it's really just there for the first ability. Next up, we have Landroval Horizon Witness. 4 and a white for a 3/4 bird noble with flying. Whenever 2 or more creatures you control attack a player, target attacking creature without flying gains flying till end of turn. So again, takes more than what Guayahir does, but it helps us get the creatures into the sky. Next up, we have the Plume Creed Mentor, which is 1, a white and a blue for a 2/3 bird scout with flying. Whenever Blue Creed Mentor or another creature you control with flying enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control without flying. So this doesn't give them flying, but it gives them a little more survivability with the +1/+1 counter. Next up, we have Finch Formation, which is 2 and a blue for a 2/2 bird scout with Offspring 3. Offspring is you can pay the additional cost. If you do, you make a copy of this creature, but it's a 1/1. It has flying, and when this creature enters, target creature you control gains flying till end of turn. So if we play the Offspring cost, we get it and another version of it, and give 2 of our flightless birds flying. Next up, we have the Salvation Swan. 3 and a white for a 3/3 bird cleric with flash flying, and whenever it or another bird you control enters, exile up to 1 target creature you control without flying. Return to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it at the beginning of the next end step. So it can slowly give everything flying. Alright, let's round this out with some utility, and then I think we'll call it there. First up in our utility is actually somebody who was at the top of my list for a bird deck for a long time before Choco came out, and that's Kestrel the Windcrested. 3, a white and a blue for a 4/5 bird scout with flying. And whenever 1 or more birds you control deal combat damage to a player, choose 1. You can put a bird creature card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield with a finality counter on it. You can put a +1/+1 counter on each bird you control, or you can draw a card. Now, the way this is worded, as long as you're hitting all 3 of your opponents, you get to do 3 things. So you can fill your hand really well. You can just make your team huge. Or you can start ripping cards out of your graveyard. Now, I wanted to talk about that one first because it dealt with finality counter. This one can help you get around finality counters, and that's Melindor Swift Savior. 3 in a blue for a 3/3 bird soldier. Has flying, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you can exile up to one target creature you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. Doing this will remove the finality counter, which specifically, I looked up, says if it would be put into the graveyard, exile it instead. Alright, next up we have Senu, Keen-Eyed Protector, 1 and a white for a 2/1 Bird Scout Flying Vigilance. You can tap it and exile it to gain 2 life and scry 2. And whenever a legendary creature you control attacks and isn't blocked, if it's exiled, you can put it onto the battlefield attacking. Not tapped and attacking, just attacking. Next up we have Guaya here, the Windlord, which is 4, a white and a blue for a 4/4 Bird Noble. Costs 2 less to cast as long as you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn. It has flying and vigilance, and other birds you control have vigilance. And then finally we will round this out with a couple of Kangi, starting with Kangi, Skywarden. 3, a white and a blue for a 3/3 Bird Wizard with flying and vigilance. Whenever it attacks, attacking creatures with flying get +2/+0 till end of turn, and whenever it blocks, blocking creatures with flying get +0/+2 till end of turn. And finally we have Kangi, Airy Keeper, 2, a white and a blue for a 2/2 Legend, because this is from a long time ago, but it is a bird wizard. It has Kicker for 2 and X. It is flying. And when it comes into play, if you paid the kicker cost, put X feather counters on it, all birds get +1/+1 for each feather counter on Kangi, Airy Keeper. Notice that does not say all birds you control, but I figure this will be kind of the, hey, we're at the end game, I'm just going to dump all my mana into Kangi, make my flying team huge, and win the game. Now, I do have like a ton of other creatures in this deck and spells in this deck. Essentially, I'm just missing the lands. I could do like a very budget, like mostly basics land set, but I don't know. I'm undecided at this point. But I do have the shell of the deck complete. I'm just missing lands at this point. So that said, yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I actually, for the first time in a few weeks, felt good enough to sit down and record something. But that said, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. All of my links can be found in my link tree in the description below. I would like to thank Ian Foss and Cody Mulvey of the band The Crypt for allowing me to use music for my opening and ending, along with Nate and Erica Jacobs for making my original logo. And I would also like to thank Christina McNichol for creating my new logo. And I'll see you next time.